The Man, a 2005 buddy cop comedy starring Samuel Jackson, Eugene Levy, and Miguel Ferreira, is about gun runners who have killed undercover cop Derek Van's partner. And Van sets up a sting where he arranges to meet with an arms dealer at a diner where he'll be the only one reading USA Today. But through a case of mistaken identity, dentists, or not even dentist, because it says he's a dentist. He's not even a dentist. No. He's a dental equipment salesman. Andy Fiddler is reading the same paper, and the dealer mistakes him for Van. When Van realizes this, he drags the baffled Andy into the operation, forcing him to pose as the fake buyer. The Man, a 2005 film written by Jim Pittock, Margaret Oberman, and Stephen Carpenter, directed by Les Mayfield. As we begin 2025's Mother May I Have Another One of Those Bad Black Movies, this was the choice of Lynn Webb. Lynn, what do you have to tell us about The Man?
The reason why I was interested in reviewing this film,
okay, all right,
is because I was very curious about the teaming up of two actors who I enjoy.
100%.
I enjoy, we have gone long and hard here on the Micheaux Mission about how much, for the most part, we enjoy Samuel L. Jackson. Not all of his movies are top notch, but he always lays it on the line.
Absolutely.
One of the great actors working today.
Absolutely.
Because we review Black films, it's not often that we're able to praise the work of some of the more prominent white actors out there, because they just don't, tend to star in a lot of the films that we are reviewing. Eugene Levy is not an A-list actor, but he certainly is high B-list, especially coming off of the success of Schitt's Creek, which is TV series which ran for more than a few years on Netflix and actually won an Emmy Award.
And clearly he's a comedic legend.
I'm going to go there.
All right.
And that was a television show. But he's a comedic legend dating all the way back to the late 70s and 80s with SCTV, which was a Canadian sketch show a la Saturday Night Live, that he was a member of that troupe, along with such notable actors as the late John Candy, Mike Myers.
No, Mike Moranis.
Oh, Mike Myers.
Mike Myers is on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's confusing because Mike Myers is Canadian now.
Right, he is Canadian. And I actually meant Dave Thomas.
Yeah,
Dave Thomas. Was on it. Joe Flaherty, Andrea Martin.
Andrea Martin.
And then we'll go on to prominence in the movies, along with starring the Christopher Guest, improv films, For Your Consideration, The Mighty Wind, and of course everybody's favorite Best in Show.
Oh my goodness.
And then he gets attracted by a whole nother demographic as the father figure in the American Pie films.
Yeah.
So he has been this legend throughout time, throughout the latter half of the 20th century in comedic spaces. So when you get those two together in a film, a buddy cop film that's in 2005, are we already past the buddy cop, heyday by 2005? Absolutely. So this is kind of like revisiting that genre. that's what this this movie offers, that the opportunity. Has some shades of one of the better, more heralded, slash buddy cop films from that era, Midnight Run, starring Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin, kind of like in similar type of roles. You've got a gruff, authority figure who has to shepherd this more nebbish guy around town for whatever reasons. And that's what happens in this movie. This movie, you laid out the plot. But the plot is like, it's doing like you say, a lot of work in that sentence. Because this movie is basically Samuel L. Jackson and Eugene Levy drive from one spot to another spot, drive to another spot, to another. That is the entire movie. I lie to you not. They are just driving from spot to spot, barely getting out of the car. They're not getting out of driving to a spot and then having like this big scene someplace. No, they're still in the car bickering at one another. Okay. We get to see these two gigantic talents riffing off of one another. This should be comedic gold. Samuel L. Jackson, he knows his way around a line.
Yes.
And Eugene Levy, legitimate comedic genius.
Yes.
Watch them make gold.
Yes.
No, it does not happen. This movie is not funny at all. It is at an hour and 20 minutes. It's an hour and 19 minutes too long.
Yeah.
It is, and Samuel L. Jackson and Eugene Levy are tired.
Yeah.
By this time in 2005, Eugene Levy is on the other side of the Christopher Guest movies. He is on the other side of the American Pie movies, and he's actually trying to find his way in Hollywood, right? And it's not too long before this. Fun note that you may not know. Were you a fan of the TV series The West Wing?
I was not.
Okay.
I just didn't watch it. I didn't have anything against it, but yeah.
Right. The character on that show, Tobey Maguire, who was like the White House like chief communications officer, right? Played by Richard Schiff, was a very acerbic but dark character who had a very good storylines throughout the run of that series. Eugene Levy was up for that role. Eugene Levy actually was the man who they thought they were going to hire for that role before Richard Schiff walked in, and they ultimately gave it to him. And it's interesting to go into a parallel universe where Eugene Levy, this comedic, character of note, joins this drama and is allowed to now be funny when he has to be, but also show different dimensions and show his dramatic chops. Wondering where his career would have been, because he would have been on that show and around this time.
Okay.
He would have still been on the West Wing, still doing capable work, maybe even going up for Emmy nominations like Richard Schiff did, instead of still trying to find his way around. Samuel L. Jackson, 2005, he's on the other side of the Star Wars movies, and the Marvel movies are about 3 years away with Iron Man. But in 2005, Samuel L. Jackson is a working actor.
Yes, he
and
is.
He may be the most working actor.
Yeah.
He is the James Brown of actors in 2005. And because of that, Samuel L. Jackson at this moment, you can tell he is choosing the moments when, okay, I got to work in this one and I got to cash a check in this one.
Right.
And The Man
Yeah.
is Samuel L. Jackson cashing a check.
Yeah.
He is 100% cashing a check. He is phoning in this performance, you know, which is basically him doing Samuel L. Jackson does Denzel Washington in Training Day.
I actually said it's Samuel Jackson playing Samuel Jackson type.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And the two of them, they don't mesh at all.
Yeah.
There is zero chemistry between them. The movie, the director was Les Manfield.
Mm-hmm. That sounds right.
Is it? Yeah, Les Mayfield. Excuse me, Les Mayfield. Basically a pedestrian director. He did anything of the certainly not an auteur with a style.
Sure.
There's no style that is brought to this film.
No.
At all.
No.
Not at all.
No.
He doesn't do them any favors by keeping the camera very tight on them for a lot of this movie. There's a lot of tight shots in
it. Is. Well, in the car.
Because they're in the car the whole time.
Yeah.
They're in the car the whole time. Now, shout out to 2005. They are actually in a car.
Yeah.
You know, they're actually driving through the streets of, they say it's Detroit. So I don't know whether they're actually on location in Detroit, but they're on location. So, you know, that part gets right. It's nice to see, like, you know, when they're driving along, they're actually passing streets and it's not just like a special effect. You know, like, oh, that's refreshing.
You're just trying to pull what you can.
I'm trying to pull what I can, man, because this movie, it is so not funny. I can't believe you mentioned about there's a fart joke in this movie. And it basically is a fart joke. You know, Eugene Levy's character doesn't do well when he eats beef and he lets off in the car. And Samuel Jackson's got to get out of the car. It's like, oh my God, it smells so bad.
Yeah.
The sound effects of him farting made me laugh.
Oh, you're one of those guys.
That sound effects, not just any fart sound effects. These specific fart sound effects.
Your fart sound connoisseur.
Well, yes, I like a nice wet fart.
Like the wet.
These were
like the sound of a wet fart.
It was a wet fart. You could feel the flapping of the cotton.
Yeah,
and
that made you laugh.
It made me laugh.
Okay,
it made me laugh.
Fair enough.
Perhaps either that, or I was just dumbfounded. Laughing to please release me.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not a good film.
Look, I'll pick up with the fart joke. You know, I have a list of hackneyed jokes that always let me know that I'm watching the product of, I don't want to use a word like lazy, because that's a very provocative word, but a not entirely active imagination and productive. There's the fart joke. There's the prison rape joke. There's the flamboyant gay joke. There's the funny foreign guy accent joke. You know, there's the fat joke. You know, these like the 5 jokes that when I see them in the film, I'm like, okay, this is not a Neil Simon script. This is not a Mel Brooks. And that's not even because sometimes you might get a fart joke in a Mel Brooks movie.
One of the more famous ones.
But Mel Brooks is Mel Brooks. You know, and this has 2 of those 5. You get the fart joke, and then you get an allusion to prison rape as a joke. And you know, I think you hit the nail on the head where it's just lethargic. Like everything, like I don't know what is going on at the moment in both of these men's careers, but neither Samuel L. Jackson nor Eugene Levy seem like they're invested in this at all. And I was sort of morbidly fascinated at how you made these people unfunny, because I think this is a combination that you would not have had to work that hard to make work. Like Eugene Levy, you know, you talked about the gold standard, which is, of course, Midnight Run.
Mm-hmm.
As much as we talk about Charles Grodin, who is the comedian in this, so of course it's a funny film, so we all go to Charles Grodin. I think the not so secret weapon, as we found out from Meet the Parents and other things since then, is that Robert De Niro, even though he's Robert De Niro, is funny.
He is.
He has good timing. He has a sense of humor. I think Samuel Jackson is funny. I think you think about Samuel Jackson in something like Jackie Brown. You think about Samuel Jackson in The Great White Hype. You think about Samuel Jackson, you were talking about in The Letters, in Jungle Fever. Like, he is funny. Like, he can be Samuel Jackson, but use all of the characteristics of his acting and apply it comedically, much like Robert De Niro could do.
Yes.
The flip side, the great thing about Charles Grodin, and you know I love Charles Grodin, is that as funny as he is, there is this sort of dark streak under there that you get that kind of nice, it's almost like salted caramel. Like you get that great contrast with him. And I think Eugene Levy, as you mentioned, he's in all those great Christopher Guest films. And I think the thing about the Christopher Guest films is much like I just said about Charles Grodin. They're very funny.
Yes.
But there is this edge right underneath. And SCTV, the reason that you talk about SCTV as the only real counterpart to Saturday Night Live is that SCTV had that as well. And Eugene Levy has that. So I was actually fascinated by how unfunny it was. Like I couldn't believe you can actually put the two of them in this enclosed space, have them bounce off each other, and it not be funny.
I know.
Like that was almost an art. Like have you ever tried to clap off beat? Like have you tried to clap off beat?
Right.
And it's very difficult. Like you find yourself, like that's what I felt with this. I almost felt like it should have fallen into rhythm at some point. And it just doesn't. I joked about Michael Fier. There are moments in this script where you assume it's going to be some type of reversal. There's this character, Joey, who reports to this mysterious Kane. Yeah. And the film sets you up, okay, well, at some point we're going to see who Kane is, and you assume because you've seen movies that Kane's going to be someone that we've seen before, and it's going to be some type of plot twist. And then the answer is Joey says, "No, I'm Kane. I'm also Kane." There's this detail where Van's partner was killed by a 45.
Yes.
And then we come to find out another character is also killed by a 45. So you think, well, who has a 45? Like, what is this for? No, that doesn't go anywhere either. The film is an hour and 20 minutes, and yet somehow has padding. Like at one point, there's like Eugene Levy steals a car. And I actually had in my notes, are we actually padding an hour and 20-minute film with a car? A car? It's not a chase. It's not even a chase.
No.
It's just him driving fast by himself for no reason, and it goes nowhere.
It goes nowhere. And Samuel Jackson, actually, he commandeers a car so that he can kind of like follow him. It's all over the place.
Several times in the film, Anthony Mackie is there, and he's very young in his career.
Yes, so this is Anthony Mackie.
He actually looks like a kid.
Getting his SAG card.
But I don't really understand why he's here. Like, there's a joke, and I use the word joke very lightly, that Van hits him with the car.
Mm-hmm.
But then it just sort of you know, the character Van has a daughter that maybe that's like, there are all these sort of gestures to plot development that don't go anywhere
because there is no plot.
And I don't, you know what, can I tell you the God's truth? I don't understand how this film got made. Like, I don't understand what the pitch was that someone said, we're going to produce this. I mean, I guess, like, I guess Samuel Jackson, Eugene Levy, I guess maybe they signed up for the money. Maybe the money?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Somebody.
And then someone said, we've got Eugene Levy and Samuel Jackson. So,
and I was half expecting.
So we'll produce it.
I was quite surprised that, at least not in my research, that this wasn't some script that was left over from the heyday of Buddy Cops. That was, you found out, was actually attached at one time to Bruce Willis or something like that. Because that is it's not odd to get Samuel Jackson in this movie, right? Especially at this time, right.
Strike while the iron's hot. Make that money.
Make that money. Absolutely. Have your name above the credits if you can, whenever you can.
Sure. So
it's not out of line for them to get him, but to get Eugene Levy, who had only one other time, and this was at least 20 years before, or some more smaller film, had his name above the credits.
Right.
Like, in 2005, Eugene Levy is not the person you pull for that assignment. Like, you didn't see that in the room, that these two just don't mesh? Like, what are we doing here?
Right.
It makes absolutely zero sense putting them together. And whose instinct was it in 2005 that we needed a buddy cop film again?
See, I think you keep saying buddy cop, but I guess in my mind, the buddy cop is a version of an Odd Couple film.
Yeah.
And, I don't think you can ever go wrong with these Odd Couple pairings.
They just did.
No. I mean, just as a concept. Like, I think that's an evergreen concept. Like, you take these two. Look, as much as I dislike them, apparently I'm in the minority. Kevin Hart and The Rock have probably made 4 versions of these Odd Couple films in the hour that we've been doing this. Like, the two of them just print money doing this. So it's not like, oh, nobody wants to see this odd pairing of people together. Because I think people do. And I think they work when they work.
Okay. All right, fair.
I mean, what's the now here's a question. What's the last good one? Like, what's the last sort of, I'm an action guy, I'm a comedian. We put him. You know what? Speaking of Kevin Hart, what's that movie he made with Ice Cube? Where's Kevin Hart? Is that Ride Along?
Yes,
I enjoyed that.
Oh, there you go.
For what it is.
There you go.
The movie that Ice Cube made with Charlie, not Charlie Hunnam. Is that Charlie Day from
Always Sunny?
From Always Sunny. The was that Fist Fight, or where they play the teachers?
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay.
I think they can work.
They can, but
let's be clear. This doesn't work, but I think as a concept.
Well, it may be heresy for me to say this. I think that Ice Cube has shown in his acting he's got that he can bring it. He can bring some different levels, some different energies. and like tone down the Ice Cube. Like sometimes you can just sometimes Ice Cube is on screen and he is the baddest man on the planet.
Yes.
But there are also times where he is on screen and he legitimately is one of the nicest guys.
Yes.
He can play that well.
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson, I think, I don't know if he fully has that range, or at least I haven't seen him fully exercise that range on film.
You don't like his character in Jackie Brown?
Yeah, but his character in Jackie Brown, he's a villain.
Yeah, but okay, so what are you saying? You don't see him?
I'm saying that there are moments in this movie.
Yeah.
No, let's go back to admittedly the gold standard, but let's go back to Midnight Run. Midnight Run. Robert De Niro.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Robert De Niro, Mr. Intensity when he wants to be.
Yes.
But the beautiful part about that movie is not so much his comedic chops, even though they're fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But what also makes that movie work is that you can see him softening up and you can see the friendship growing in him for the Charles Grodin character.
Yes.
Throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels earned.
Yeah.
In this movie, Samuel L. Jackson, whether or not it's the direction, it's the script, or his own instinct,
mm-hmm.
is so one note.
Yes.
Just beating up on the guy, and even though he's dragging this dude all around the city, even though this dude has helped him make a connection to his little daughter.
Yeah.
All he is doing is beating up on this dude the whole movie. So that when it seemingly is a friendship moment, none of it seems earned.
Yeah, but I think that's because the script is absolutely horrible. I don't think Samuel Jackson couldn't have pulled that off with a better script.
But I don't know, because I don't think that he has been asked, at least not that I have seen or I can recollect, to show that dimensionality in the majority of his roles.
I mean, I hate to pull the obvious one. I think he has I like him in Pulp Fiction along those lines, where you do get those different tones with Julius.
Yeah.
I like him in Pulp Fiction. Again, we're talking about different tones within the same film. We're not talking about he plays different characters. I think Eve's Bayou, he's really complicated.
Oh, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You don't see the softer side.
I think he's very soft in Eve's Bayou. I think he's amazingly soft in Eve's Bayou. With his daughters. Yeah.
I don't see it. I never trust him in that movie.
You never trust. Now that's interesting. It's really dangerous bringing up Eve's Bayou in this conversation, because that is a film that is 1,000,000 times more interesting than this.
Yeah, I don't think you ever trust him in Eve's Bayou. At least me. I don't trust him in Eve's Bayou. And I think that
I think that's a fair read, though.
Yeah.
Especially if we say that Journey Smollett's character is an unreliable narrator, which I think you can. But again, this is May. This is May. This is May. All right, take that off today. All right, I'll just go along with you.
Thank you.
I'll just go along with you.
Thank you.
Because it is interesting We gonna talk about
say
Eve's
it,
body.
say it. You started.
No. But I always it is a fascinating moment that what we find out about what transpired between him and Megan Good's character. We find out in a letter, but we find out in the letter that Journey Smollett's character has read. But then you realize that the whole movie is embedded that this is Journey Smollett as an adult telling the story. So you have like 3 intermediaries,
right,
between what happened. Like we never actually see what happened as the viewer. We have adult Journey Smollett's character relaying what she said as a kid, relaying the letter that she read that he wrote. So,
right.
All right, go ahead.
I ain't got nothing else to say about this movie. What else you want me to say?
I think this film's biggest crime is that it's boring.
Yeah, it is.
It's boring.
That's
We've said it before. Like I think some films are so bad that they can kind of be entertaining. Like I always think about a film that here's a film that was bad, but I've actually watched it once or twice since we reviewed it, and it makes me chuckle. The Wild Man Steve's star vehicle, the $6,000 nigga, which is a terrible film. God, yes. But it's so terrible. It's like, I cannot take my eyes off of this.
I found a way to divert my eyes.
Yeah, but, it seems so weird in May to say this. Would you recommend The Man?
No.
Would
you recommend The Man?
Would not recommend The Man. And again, I kind of, it's not even a train wreck.
No. Because you get this, you're talking about it's boring.
And it is.
And we talk about Samuel L. Jackson and Eugene Levy just walking through it. Miguel Ferrer, they do nothing with.
I kept waiting for I just knew he was going to be
for the turn.
The criminal mastermind.
You're waiting for the turn.
It's like, how do you have 90s quintessential bad guy in your film and do nothing with him?
You're waiting for it and it never comes.
But
no payoff. Yeah, I just think I think nobody is interested in making a.
I hope all the checks cleared.
Well, I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
I believe they did.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right.
That is our review of The Man.
Yeah.